A rich suburb, a dark secret. I'm Jason Horton.
I'm Rebecca Lieb.
And this is Ghost Town.
Police now say it was a pair of shoes that first tipped them off. The crime scene had 2 pairs of bloody footprints, but police believe one of them was faked by Brittany Norwood using a store pair to appear like a perpetrator's footprint. And when police found Norwood bound and gagged, they now say the position she was tied up in was suspicious, that with her hands tied above her head, she may have tied herself up.
Okay, so it's the day after 4th of July. You're going to
Yeah.
hear this in about a week or so. And something really important happened to me. It changed my perspective. It shook me. Do I say, can we?
You
are
can
we
use the
still
word
saying
shook.
I was shook?
Yeah, you can still see
All right, I'm in my 30s though, so is that?
Well, I'm not even 50 yet, so I should know.
Okay. I, for the first time ever in Malibu, thank you very much, went inside of a Lululemon and did not buy anything. I left shortly thereafter because it was very expensive. But the cultural phenomenon of the yoga pant is something that I'm very on board with. Very, very on board with. If you know me, if you know my stand-up, which you don't, but I went inside one and it reminded me of one of my favorite murderous tales that took place inside of a Lululemon in Bethesda, Maryland, the Lululemon Murder.
Which is a great,
Oh,
I mean,
we're gonna
like,
get into
it's a
it.
great,
We are gonna get
it's a
into
great,
it.
great, and I'm familiar with it from you.
Yeah.
So I didn't know we were doing this. We usually kind of surprise each other, but you mentioned it. So I'm familiar, probably not as familiar as you are, but I'm also relatively familiar with the culture and the fact that I guess yoga pants or like pants like that pretty much fashion-wise
Yeah.
have saved the day.
They
in a
really-
sense. From what I hear from my wife, she's like,
Yeah.
this is like a very easy, fashionable...
It is. And it's flattering.
Oh, yeah.
And form-fitting and comfy. Although I did get, like, I wouldn't say harassed, but I'll say harassed on a plane wearing yoga pants.
Because too hot?
They were
or-
too hot.
Yeah.
They were too, it was my fault. It was me.
Yeah.
It was all
Yeah.
on me. But yeah, yoga pants, I think so many of us believe in them, but they have hey, listen, it's not all fun and games. It's not all stretch and curve.
There's a price to pay.
Yeah, a deadly price. But it's one of my favorite things. But before we get into that, I really want to talk about where we've been, where we're going. We just had our anniversary, but we're here. It's 4th of
Yeah.
July. I'm a little hungover for the first, I haven't drank in a while. I was just telling Jason, to which he sagely advised me that it only gets easier as we get older. So I'm waiting for that.
Yeah.
I want to have more than 2 drinks and not feel like complete garbage.
We're very reflective, I think, right now because it has been a year. We didn't know where we were going to be in a year.
No, I still don't.
I think it's exceeded expectations. The fact
Yes.
that, one, we're still doing it. We put out an episode every single week and then some bonus episodes.
Yeah.
So we've
What's
had like
the year
about
anniversary gift? Cotton? Glass.
think-
Shreds of glass.
I think
Eggshell.
I think it's MP3s and MP4s.
Okay. It's reviews.
It's
Rate
thumb,
and review.
it's thumb drives and we've
Plastics.
definitely gotten as far as like if you're counting like listens or downloads as an indication, we've gotten a good amount of them, more than I would anticipate
Yeah.
because I didn't know, and it was
We didn't know.
we didn't know, and it was a lot of great feedback. You know, not all of it was positive, but like you know, like I've said before. When we started, we didn't know how long should it be, how much people are going to care about it. And I think we're so reserved. We don't assume that people are going to love us. Let's just talk all
Yeah,
day.
exactly. So there was a gust of wind, and we just had an earthquake yesterday. So I'm
yesterday.
like, gust of wind equals earthquake. Quick, hide under this
Yeah.
table.
But we should, if we do, well, we just got to keep going.
Just
If
keep,
there's an
we're gonna
earthquake,
keep
we're going to
going.
keep potting.
We do that for you.
Keep potting. So
Yeah,
it's
please.
been a year, and I feel like we're just getting started. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like
Yeah.
we're just getting started. We have
You raised this tiny podcast child,
Yeah.
and we're getting it to
it's
a
a
place
it's a
where-
latchkey.
Yeah, exactly.
Child.
Listen, it's babysits me. Like who's carrying whom?
Yeah,
you know?
who saved who?
Exactly.
And I guess everyone, it's like it takes a village, and the
It really
village
did.
was people that listen to. We're making this sound like
the
very
village
important.
is cork coasters.
Yes.
Bad podcast reviews.
Yes.
Friends and family not quite knowing what's going on, but
No.
being vaguely supportive.
Yes.
Our cats, of course. And all you people.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We've gotten like I want to like
You
let
may.
people know.
What if I was like, you may not? And you're like, oh, I'll put it away.
Let's start out with a very, very kind review on Apple Podcasts from Ashley in Chicago. I don't remember how I stumbled on Ghost Town, but I'm glad I did. I even joined Patreon just to support them.
Isn't that so nice?
That's so...
Patreon.com/Ghost Town. You can do the same.
It's Ghost Town Pod. See, this is why you're not in charge. You're out. You've been fired from marketing. Do not do marketing.
Oh my God. I'm so embarrassed. Jason's been saying this for a year.
Yes.
In my face. Like, we are maybe 6
You're
inches
like,
away from each
it's
other.
patreon.com/GZPZ. I don't know, man. Whatever.
What's wrong with me? Oh my God.
It's like you don't want
He's been saying
the money.
it to my face for a year.
It's like you don't want. Why don't you say somebody else's podcast? You know what I mean? Just a total different patreon.com/Amazon. Jeff Bezos. You know what I mean? Like, help the dude out. He needs it. It'll get to us, I guess.
Wow. Can there cue earthquake?
It's patreon.com/GhostTownPod. 2 bonus episodes a month. They're stacked up, ready for you, and some other cool things that help support us. We've been using the money for some a little audio helps, and then some festival stuff we're trying to do, and it's been really helpful. But Ashley in Chicago, she's like, that's how much I enjoyed the show and want them to succeed. Jason and Rebecca are LA-based comedians and friends. In that order. In that order.
Yeah, exactly.
Not friends first. Sorry, this is cutthroat, baby. They play off each other so well, as you just heard. They're approachable and feel like they could be my friends, and we are.
We are your friends.
Even if you don't join the Patreon, we'll
But
be
well,
it depends on the level tier of friendship. it goes from 0 to like 60 pretty fast.
Yeah, it does.
You donate $2 a month.
Oh my
you can't
God.
get rid of us.
No, you can't.
You're
You're gonna be like, oh, I wish I hadn't.
Yeah. How much do we pay to get rid of you guys? Like, too late.
Yeah.
If I had friends that were funny to get paid for it, I find the assortment of topics they cover both interesting and varied. The only downside is I often find myself wishing the episodes were longer, which I know others have mentioned too. I hope you give Ghost Town a shot if you're a fan of the podcast, and that's why we drink.
No,
we've talked.
we
We
know
chat with
them.
them. Yeah,
They're fun
they're
friends.
very nice. Abandoned places, local lore, offbeat history and travel. Jason and Rebecca, you get 5. You get 5 stars. Now come to Chicago.
We should go to Chicago.
We'd love to.
I lived in Chicago for a little while.
And
way
I guess
back
we're
when.
staying at Ashley's in Chicago. That's all the information we're going to go
We're
on.
not staying at my parents' condo in Chicago. This is vacant.
No,
we're
no,
staying in Ashley. She has a rollaway bed in her kid's room.
Yeah.
And we're both staying on.
Yeah, we're both staying on there.
Exactly.
I'm also doing keto right now, so plan for that. So I got
am
another
not, and I'm very depressed. So make sure you have those Chicago brews a-flowing.
Chicago, baby.
Yeah,
right?
that's
How you
right.
say it.
Deep dish pizza.
It's,
I'm walking here. See, that never sleeps.
Whatever, we don't care.
Big Easy.
Not the Windy City, though. All but
Never,
that.
no.
Xander Tegan Crawford on Instagram, who I think is Random Xander. This is also on Facebook.
pretty good name.
I adore this podcast. Epic history, great locations, and amazing banter. This makes my workday so much better.
Aww.
Thank you, Xander.
So fucking nice.
That's
you
very,
guys.
very kind. And our Instagram is Ghost Town Pod. Don't let Rebecca tell you. I don't know what she's going to say it is. She's going to say it's at Instagram, for all I know.
Somebody just just shove me off my own apartment balcony.
Yeah, just if somebody's like, hey, what do you think about Rebecca for marketing?
Then-
I'm like, don't hire her.
Give my vacant apartment to the highest Patreon donor.
Yeah, which is pretty much anyone who's donated $2. Yeah. No, we have a Alicia, maybe somebody who's a $25.
That's so nice.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Yeah, I remember
And-
we had a $25 donor early on, and we were like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
the money!" And we're
Yeah.
like, "Ding ding!"
And we will, if you want to be mentioned, or you have a podcast of your own, or you have
we
a website.
are for sale in every way possible.
$25, let me tell you, and take it. This is coming from an analytics point of view and a business point of view.
And this is coming from a point of view.
No,
So
don't listen, Rebecca. It is well over worth it.
Over worth it?
In fact, yes, you're getting too much of a good bargain.
Let's get back to yoga pants. Let's circle back to the Lululemon in this very wealthy Virginia suburb. And another reason I like this, and again, there's a lot of things I like, we'll talk all about it, is that it happened really recently. It happened in 2011,
Which in true crime world is considering pretty recent because you can still have access to information.
Exactly.
and
The people, it doesn't feel as archaic as something from the 20s. I've been listening to Live and Die in LA, which also is very recent. So I think knowing where things are and knowing where we were at a certain point in the country versus relying on my public school education to kind of take me there is much easier for me. And the sentencing wasn't until 2015 too.
So yeah, this is hot.
This is hot. So let's get into it. On the morning of March 12th, 2011, a Lululemon manager called 911 after opening the Bethesda, Maryland store and finding 2 of her coworkers bloody and non-responsive. So we're starting with that, right?
Yeah, that's
you're just a mild-mannered manager of a Lululemon. Go in for your shift. You find 2 of your coworkers, like kind of your, employees, just in different rooms, blood everywhere. And I want to emphasize, like, blood was everywhere. I was looking for like pictures of this, and there are none online there, because everyone was like, it was horrific. Yoga pants, blood, yoga shoes, hair ties, towels.
I'm really surprised, and maybe it is in the works, or if it exists, I'm just ignorant of it, that there's some kind of a non-scripted show based on like a Dirty John or something like that.
Yeah.
It's got to be in the works, if
It
not.
must be, because this is, again, it's so fascinating for so many reasons. So she calls in. She says, there's 2 people in the back of my store. One person seems dead and the other person is breathing. She was telling this frenzied to a dispatcher on the morning of March 12th. So the 2 women who were identified were 29-year-old Brittany Norwood and 30-year-old Jana Murray, 2 employees who had closed up the store the previous night. Norwood was found alive in the bathroom with superficial wounds. Her arms and legs were zip-tied together. Murray was discovered in a small hallway lying face down in a pool of her own blood. She had suffered severe head trauma, 331 wounds, beating, choking, stab wounds, and was pronounced dead on the scene.
That makes it personal, right? When there's that many.
Like that 300, like what was left after 331?
Aren't you aren't you physically fatigued?
Yeah.
Like doing that in general, just swing your arm 331 times?
Absolutely.
Or it's probably more. You know what I mean? A couple of misses in there, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, that is something that goes so much deeper into wanting to kill somebody. It's like insidious. So let me just tell you a little bit about both of these people too that were found at the scene. So Brittany Norwood was an African-American woman. She'd had past crimes before. She had worked there for a little while. And then there was Jana Murray, who was blonde, white. She was a graduate student at Johns Hopkins University. Like totally different experiences, life experiences, especially in Bethesda, Maryland, which was very, very wealthy. I kind of think about it like I grew up in kind of a wealthy suburb too, just so sheltered. And so I remember like if there was an African-American person in our suburb, the cops would be like on it. It was really, I would imagine, very difficult to be a person that wasn't white in this context. So that's what we're working with, right? These 2 very different employees being found in 2 very different situations at the Lululemon in Bethesda, Maryland. So all of this money was missing from the store's safe. The attacks were what Brittany said when she came to consciousness was that these 2 guys came in, tried to rape them, tried to assault them, took all the money and left. And she said that they were just like racist, that they were rapists, that they were murderers, robbers. And it was kind of like this hyperbolic count of something.
It was like they're everything.
Yeah.
They're all the
just
bad
like
things you can think of, they're them.
Bad people. Yeah, exactly. It's like they were, I don't know, like their names were Hitler, both of them, you know, and it's like, okay, well, but she gave this account. So everyone was going crazy in Bethesda. Everyone was being profiled. Everyone was looking. I can't imagine how nuts it must have been, because also this place had never had anything like this. It's such an intimate and violent murder.
I mean, maybe a possible shoplifter at
maybe
most.
Or like a white collar, like tax, like skimming money, off of some business thing. I know business, all right? God.
We've established that.
Exactly. The fact that the men would leave Norwood alive with only a few injuries after inflicting so much on Murray didn't make a lot of sense. In addition, the men only used tools found in the store during the attack, which was a big tip off for the cops. They hadn't brought any weapons of their own. Norwood told police that she and Murray had returned to the store Friday night after it had closed to retrieve something Norwood had forgotten. This was a lie. We'll talk about it later. When they did, she said 2 men had followed them into the store, assaulted them both, and killed Murray. Again, manhunt ensued. Police looked into local data on ski mask sales too, because she mentioned that they had ski masks on, so she couldn't say what they look like. They offered a $150,000 reward for anyone who knew anything about these men around town who are going and breaking into Lululemons. They even tailed a man who fit the description of one of the killers. But then all this stuff kind of like degraded, right? 7 days later, on Friday, March 18th, police arrested Norwood because her story just didn't add up. The only bloody footprints police found were Norwood's and those made by the shoes that were found at the crime scene. And those were a size 14 like yoga shoe. I didn't realize you did yoga in shoes, but when I was in a Lululemon, I was like, oh,
and
they
this
sell...
is size 14 female?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a little different than...
Exactly. 14 male is gigantic, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. What is the average male shoe size?
Mine's 11.
Okay.
Which is on the larger side.
Okay. So like a 10 or 9?
Yeah, it's probably on the larger side, I'd say.
Yeah. So when I was in the Lululemon, I was like, oh yeah, they sell shoes. It's more than just yoga in there. Not to say this is an ad for Lululemon. It most certainly is not.
Yeah, I guess if you didn't buy anything, then
Yeah, I left. I was like, whoa. I was
probably don't need-
physically jarred by
they
the
probably
prices.
don't need our publicity.
No, they're doing just fine despite this murder.
Do you want to mention their Patreon too while you're at it? I don't know if you're
Patreon.com/Lulu's Lemons murdering Bethesda people. Watch.
That's very long,
Yeah.
but I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
You wrote it down?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So Norwood was arrested. Her story didn't add up. These bloody footprints were found. Her own bruises after examination, because they took her to the doctor, appeared self-inflicted, and she'd been tied up in such a way police said that she could have done it herself. Neither woman, it turned out, was sexually assaulted as well. So again, her story is breaking down. So then she was convicted of murder after this. Opening arguments in the first-degree murder trial of Brittany Norwood, charged in the killing of her coworker Jana Murray. Other pretty gruesome details were brought to light. Holding the bloody rope found around the slain woman's neck and merchandise display rod, used to bash her skull. State Attorney John McCarthy said blood trails show that how the 30-year-old victim tried unsuccessfully to escape her attacker through a back door. So essentially, she had this rope and she had a merchandise display rod that she was beating her and torturing her with as she tried to escape. Also, this is Lululemon. From what I know from my one time in the Lululemon in Malibu, it's a place for fit women. It's a culture of fitness and wellness and kind of like bullshitty new age stuff.
Would you give it, like, and this is only because we've been talking about this lately, and I don't want to sidetrack too much, but would you say there's any semblance of like a cult-like atmosphere of being like, if you wear Lululemons, you wear other things and then you're not.
Yes. And this is something that also was brought to light kind of during the trial and all of that. Really, all of the things like, and this is why I like the case so much, like, class, race, culture, all of that kind of was brought to a head in this specific murder case. So they talk very, very specifically about how Jana was trying to get through the back door of the Lululemon. She was bleeding. Brittany was attacking her. There were also 107 defense wounds caused when Murray tried to fend off her attack when the medical examiner examined her. And she said it's the most that she had ever seen in one woman. So this was like a fight, like a straight up, like this woman was fighting for her life. Murray was trying to survive. And then Norwood did not want that to happen. And it's like, what caused, it was so violent. Again, in a culture that felt the least violent, Think about how long this took. Jana is alive through almost all of this. Mr. McCarthy, who was the state attorney, said, describing how 8 separate items found in the upscale yoga-inspired apparel store were used as weapons. Sorry. The last wounds are from knives. This was not slow. This was not painless. This woman struggled to survive. Let's take a little break there, and then we'll get back to the results of this case.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
Oh, boy.
And
It's
we're
true.
back. We're back,
Yeah.
right?
The fact that, what I'm thinking was like the fact that using the items from Lululemon, they're probably somewhat specific to Lululemon in a sense. They probably have their own thing. It makes the whole thing more, I don't know what it makes it. It just makes it like,
it's just personal. And I think when you're like, we all think about murders and we think about weapons with murder. We think about a gun, a knife, a rope. We think about people breaking in. We think about we take murder and a lot of the things around murder and put it in its own little category. But I think when you're using things that people use completely differently to murder people or in a totally different culture, you're like, that is very disturbing.
You're using your own specific culture kind of is being used against you, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the thing you use to dress a mannequin, I don't know, it was used against you, which it has to make it even more, it just makes the whole thing more sinister, and obviously it makes it more interesting.
Absolutely.
More than it already is.
And also for our podcast specifically, exploring these things through place, thinking about a Lululemon and experiencing it for the first time and being like, oh, this is like fucking upscale retail store. This is not the site of a murder.
No, it's not like if we were like, oh, this happened at a 7-Eleven, in Camden, New Jersey, which is like a lot of crime. You'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, get it. Totally get it.
I mean, unless somebody was like, they, killed him with the Snickers bar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
in the 7-Eleven with the Snickers bar.
Yeah. So that makes it, like you said, that makes the place very atypical and super violent.
Yeah.
It really is really contrasting.
Yeah, and I think about the malls that I grew up with, and like if this had happened again in the upscale mall, like talk about Chicago, one of our fans is from there. There's this mall called Old Orchard, which is this very like we would go there to get our bat mitzvah and bar mitzvah shit because it was much nicer than the Wisconsin malls. But just having this place where you're like, oh, this is safe. This is safe because we think it's all a perception too.
Only people that are already well off, or they don't have want for anything, so they're not going to do it. They're not going to risk anything.
Exactly. So the perception of what this town and this mall was is also really fascinating. Okay, so while attorneys for Miss Norwood hinted in the months before the trial that they might pursue an insanity defense, attorney Douglas Wood acknowledged in his opening statement that his client had attacked Murray, but that she had not planned to kill her. So that's what they were going with. They were like, not premeditated. Jana was killed by Brittany, but not with premeditation, Mr. Wood said. During that fight, Brittany Norwood lost it. There is no doubt about that. She lost control. Yeah, no shit. 331 wounds. The defense argued for a conviction of second-degree murder, claiming the attack was not premeditated. The case received intense media coverage and was commonly referred to as the Lululemon Murder. In January 2012, Norwood was sentenced to life imprisonment with no possibility of parole. In a published opinion on April 29, 2015, the Court of Special Appeals of Maryland rebuffed Norwood's request for a new trial, effectively ending her direct appeal options. So after this had all happened, right, and everyone's like, holy fuck. And also there was this weird sense of relief in the town too, where it wasn't just some strange man. It's, God, so many things. It was relief, but it was also like, oh, one of us did this, but was she one of us, really? Because again, it's like predominantly white, very upper class. This is not the background that Brittany Norwood came from. But again, they were like, we isolated who this is. They are being sentenced. They will not be out. So then Brittany Norwood kind of like came clean on all of this stuff. So basically what she said, she spoke publicly for the first time since the killing, addressed Murray's family before learning her punishment. Before I go to prison, she said, I need you to hear how deeply sorry I am. So in the after-hours confrontation, apparently sparked by Norwood's attempt to steal a pair of yoga pants, authorities said she bludgeoned, choked, and stabbed Murray using at least 5 weapons to inflict, again, more than all of these 300-some separate wounds. To try and conceal her crime, Norwood tracked size 14 sneakers through Murray's blood to make it appear as if a large person had been there. She then tied herself up, gave herself a few minor wounds, bound her own hands and ankles in a restroom, and initially fooled detectives with an elaborate tale about a pair of masked murderers. So until the cover-up unraveled, police considered Norwood a victim, and she was treated as a victim. She was treated as kind of like a hero, almost, which, again, must have been it was such a turn until it's like hero to murderer. And people were very afraid. But she came clean about everything that happened. So she was alive, laying in the bathroom while her coworker bled out and eventually died in another room, which is so crazy. So you can imagine. And there's also some theorizing about their relationship, too, as coworkers. And again, this is where the cultural thing comes in. This is where difference in race and background come in. The idea of like, okay, they're there that night after the shift. Norwood had stolen yoga pants. Murray confronted her, a white woman of privilege confronting a black woman who did not have the same privilege, especially in the context of Lululemon, where it's like, you know, I read somewhere that they had such a strict culture where it's like like if you drank soda.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Like, what hoops needed to be jumped through? I think I recall that you don't just work there. You
live it.
You have to be of a certain. The things that I think people make fun of or it's on a parody sometimes is like, like The Devil Wears Prada or something like that.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like this is. You can't just be, so you're, thin, attractive, and you know about yoga pants. Not enough. Yeah,
no.
And you don't have a criminal record. Not enough.
No.
You have to, you have to kind of live the lifestyle according to Lululemon.
Exactly, and that means a lot of different things.
And that's
means
probably a lot of pressure.
Exactly, but both of these women were like, again, very attractive, very intelligent women. So it's like I get how they were both hired, but again, it's just goes to show the facade. And also just the facade of like being in there and all those mantras. Like they have a bunch of like mantras and they have those bags, which they talk about a lot. And they have like all of this, like, it's like when I was in there, I was like, oh, what if I wanted to just buy one thing and it wasn't like a set of things? Like they are kind of like shoving this down your throat, this lifestyle, because buying one pants like isn't enough there. It's like, oh, you want the set of like the pants and the headband, and like there's so many like things that
like American Apparel was like a little bit like, I mean, maybe there was a certain like kind of at least marketing culture around it, and the people that work. I mean, I've been to a lot of American Apparels, and actually I really like their t-shirts. I'm wearing them right now. So
well, is this an ad for American Apparel?
I don't think they're around anymore.
Oh, that's true. Like giant abandoned warehouse in downtown LA. But so I think Murray and Norwood, they worked together, right? Murray realized that Norwood had stolen some pants. Norwood got defensive. Like, who knows exactly what happened, but something ensued where it escalated to a point of death, really. And then she had to cover it up. And then she was kind of victimized in a way that made her be almost hero-like. And then that all unraveled.
I think you get to a point where you're like, I'm just going to steal some yoga pants.
Yeah.
After hours, so like it's not like the chances of getting caught, which would be, I'm close with somebody that works in that field of dealing with internal theft, shoplifting on a big scale.
Yeah.
I've also, once upon a time when I was a child, I used to shoplift a lot.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah, so I got, you know what I mean? I got a little in and out of trouble for that, gave up my evil ways. But I
look at you now.
What yeah, I should go back.
Podcasting.
I should go back to it, I think, if anything. What people will do when they're caught is they I don't care if it's like 5 Blu-rays or a bunch of diapers or whatever. What people will do to escape prosecution is a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
especially wanting to keep this job, and this job that has a high level of acceptance. I actually was doing some research on how much they get paid at Lululemon. I don't know specifically, which I also, in my mind, I was like, they get paid like shit. And like this is, but I don't know. I'm not sure. So we're not sure how much she needed the job. I also did some research on Norwood, and there's a lot of theorizing around her being a sex worker, her doing a lot of things to make ends meet. So you think about the level of desperation when getting caught and needing a job and what you would do to make sure that went away.
If the thing was like, I just want to steal some pants, is like, it keeps like, now I've gone so far, I got to keep going.
The pants are at least, by the way, $78. Yeah. At least. That's the low end of their yoga pants, and I want a pair.
That's like bargain basement.
Yeah.
Like,
that's like they're on sale. Like, you can't get the right size.
It's like, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. So they are very expensive. I think they go up to $250 for a pair of yoga pants. That's what we're talking here. Big bucks.
The yoga should do itself if you spend that much.
Exactly. It should be an automated yoga pant. You can get out of it and they finish the yoga for you.
Yeah.
And then you just sleep.
And just be gorgeous.
Yeah, just have some Moscow mules.
Yeah.
I don't know why that came up in my mind. I don't know.
You're thirsty.
I'm thirsty. Anyway, so this is a really fascinating thing. She's still in jail. There's a foundation for Murray and her family, and they've spoken out a lot about this. But it's really sad and very fascinating, and also goes to show that, like, you think someplace is safe or nice, quote unquote, or moneyed or whatever. It ain't.
No.
It ain't. Hard lesson learned.
What made you go in there?
Well, I was in Malibu, of course, just living my life. No, it was in a shopping mall there, and I went to like get some like coffee or something, and it was there was like a Sephora, Lululemon. There was one of those like really expensive Greek yogurt places. And I was like, I should pop in and see, maybe I'll buy something.
How's the employees? How's the culture?
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Like you would think. I mean, I guess not aggressive to me now, like knowing, especially like, when you sign up for something or like when you're getting aggressively emailed or texted about things. It was very retail-y. It's very like, can we help you? 5 minutes later, can we help you? Do you need any help? What do you do? Like, and they're everywhere. There's actually, what I really was surprised at is how many employees are there. There were like 6 employees there, and it's not a very big store. It's kind of small, but they were all watching. They were all on top of it.
Well, I guess for now you just have to stick with Old Navy, right?
Yeah, I got to get those Old Navy pants.
Nobody's killing for them, are they?
No.